We will go ahead and call this meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. Let me bring up, there it is, the agenda. Appears everyone is here and accounted for. Janie, I realized only now looking at the agenda that I had posted it after you had sent the meeting minutes from the last time that the HR committee met. And of course, I don't have that up on my screen at the moment. Should we?
Well, I don't think you need, well, I don't know. Did everybody else get them? Because I sent them out to everybody, to
Yeah.
the group of us.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Okay. Oh, come on, computer. There
and
we
I
go.
didn't hear anything back from anybody saying,
I thought there they are. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so that was from Monday, the 24th. Should we go ahead and approve those minutes, or do we want to wait until the next meeting?
don't we have a couple sets of minutes? Don't we have like 3 sets of minutes that we haven't approved yet? I think.
That's for the
we do.
special topics committee, I think.
Are you sure?
Well, we didn't approve
Let's see.
them at the last one, and we still have the one from August that still needs to be approved.
And those are the special topics ones. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I should make sure. I don't know that I have everything on the website.
I've been Martha, I've been uploading some stuff, but
Oh,
I know I've
good.
missed some stuff. Yeah. No, I have definitely added some, but I've missed a ton since there have been a ton of different committees.
Okay,
So
that's right. I forgot that you also do that. I just had this moment of like, oh no.
nope, I know how to do it too. Okay, so do we want to wait until the next meeting to approve the October 24th HR minutes, or do we want to do it?
well, it's up to you. I don't want to move because I wrote them, but if
Oh,
one of the
I'll,
rest of you wants to,
yes, I'll move to approve the minutes,
okay.
October 24th.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Alrighty, then we would be looking for okay, so motion to approve from Jenny, second from Bonnie. I know what's happening.
Okay.
And then the minutes are approved. Okay.
We
Thank
need
you.
to vote. We need to vote.
Oh, my.
Oh,
Aye.
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 All right, all in favor, aye. Minutes have been approved. I am so sorry. I don't know where my head is this evening. Okay, so the meeting minutes have been approved, and then it looks like the main topic for discussion that Jenny put forth is the Renee's transition to the director role, and making sure that we've got all of our checklists in place. So Jenny, I will turn that over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Martha and Katie, for doing so much to get us prepared for Renee's arrival. I really appreciated all of your lists.
We love a good list.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love
You do.
making
It's a very
lists.
good list.
They really helped me to. So I think what I put on for our agenda tonight was the starting, because we really need, Martha, we really need you and Katie to help us to understand the timeline for what you need in order to prepare her office. I thought we'd start with it's not the easy stuff, but it's the physical stuffs, because that we will need to have ready for her when she arrives. So how can we help you? What do you need? And what do you guys think your timeline? I know December 3rd is miniature golf, so I know we won't even be thinking about anything until after December.
So the main thing, 'cause we'll need to clear out some of the documents that have been approved for destruction by the state. I called Shred It today. That's the company that does our shredding regularly, to see if we can schedule a special one-time bulk pickup, and we can. They won't be able to, I have to sign the contract thing that they sent over. So they said right now they're scheduling like 2 weeks out, which is, I was like, great, because we're not ready for you right now. So it would be at least 2 weeks where, until then they would come and, take away the documents that will need to be, disposed of. So we have a timeline on that at least.
Okay.
There's some general like tidying and stuff. I had started when I was, going through some of the documents, sorting through some things and like dusting, because some of it was a little bit, it's been a while. So, but I think in general, like December is a very quiet month for us. So I know we'd sort of talked about like different, like at some point in December, kind of focusing on cleaning out the office. I think that's all I had to say about that.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Jenny.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, if you need an extra pair of hands, so like I'm working the next, we have 3 weeks until Christmas break. But like, I can get help on Wednesday and Thursday nights.
Okay.
Or otherwise, over like, so if you guys want me, if like, we just need to start physically, I don't know if like, you guys we probably don't have a space, right, to move them to out of the office. Like we have to probably go through them in the director's office before.
Yeah, the records, it's pretty much, they have to be in there. They will be, Shreddit, I guess, is going to be giving us some totes.
Okay,
That, we can put some of the stuff in. Some of it is already in boxes and they'll just take those. And I don't know, I'll see if I can maybe find some other banker boxes. But yeah, that would essentially be the staging area for that.
okay. Would it be helpful if I came in next week to help you guys? Do you need one pair of hands? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know about next week. I might have a better, can I email you next week? And I'll, after I've had a chance to like go in there and look at, where I left things kind of,
Yeah.
Because I think I'll have a better idea and I won't be thinking about mini golf.
Yes, yeah. Wednesdays and Thursdays are a good night. I can get.
Okay.
On
Yeah, and
Wednesday.
I'm here Thursday nights, so that works pretty well for me too.
Okay, so yes, then let's reconnect after the 3rd, so we can
Okay.
get some dates on the books and then see what we can do.
Okay.
Kathy, and Martha, you guys had talked about new office furniture, and I can't remember, are we waiting until Renee gets here I know we talked about the desk would really take a while, so we had talked about that she maybe would pick out her own desk. What did you decide about the chair?
Yeah, I would say that our discussion about furniture was not about purchasing furniture, Jenny.
Yeah,
I would say that well, if there's a broken chair, that's a different story, but if there's a desk, I would suggest we get the desk on the budget starting fiscal year, and then she can start the ordering and depositing and all that on her, whatever she feels is good, but it's not in the budget, and we're over budget with a whole lot of the transition costs anyway, so that's something that I would just assume she's picking out in January, and we'll see how we can figure it out, but that would be my recommendation.
okay.
Unless we find that the desk is not workable in some way.
It needs to be replaced. I mean, it predates the computer age by several decades.
I'm
and
not suggesting it not be replaced. I'm
Yeah.
suggesting to replace like
no,
Mercury first.
it's not in danger of falling apart. There was some speculation if we were to try to move it, it might, but
Yeah.
I think it's where it is right now. It is
Right.
stable.
I think we need to just verify that it's workable and it's suitable, and get a catalog on her desk and let Renee go ahead with this, and we'll figure it out. I'm sure there'll be a contingency between now and the end of it. Right now, we were borrowing from a whole lot of lines for a lot of different things, so I don't want there to be one more thing on that list if we can actually defer to her good taste anyway. So that's what I would suggest.
And then I can't remember if the chair is broken or not.
I don't, I don't think it's one of the broken ones. Katie, you've sat in it more
Uh,
than I have recently.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not broken, although I could be wrong, but I think it may have at one point tried to eat Eric, and I feel like I may have said like, aha, now you know how it feels to be in my chair. Because my chair frequently tries to eat me, but it's behaved itself when I've been in there, so.
Okay, perfect. So everything we're gonna check, but it looks like it's doable until it's replaced.
There are no
Okay.
active hazards in there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We'll
That's
talk to Renee about it in January.
Okay, great. Okay, so that was the office.
One thing I was going to add, I think it got brought up in a previous conversation, but Eric had ordered a new monitor for his computer because he was using an old one because the other one had with the screen was broken. The new monitor has not been installed yet. That was left to me as something that I could take on, but I never had time to either try to get it set up myself or have CVI come out. But that's something that should probably be pretty easy for us to take care of before Renee gets here.
Well, maybe CVI could do that when they come in to move the,
That's an excellent idea. And I haven't, and I still need to send them an update or send them a message to schedule a time for next week. So I can put that in there as well.
Thank you. Great. Was there anything else that anybody had for this particular subject? Okay. So the next thing I had on like our agenda was monthly calendar. I don't know if we have if you guys have one of those on Google with, the board meetings. I don't know what your meetings have been like, your staff meetings. I feel like Eric used to have weekly staff meetings. I don't know if you guys are still weekly staff meetings. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we have a Google Calendar that we use primarily for desk shifts. So we have that. We don't incorporate it doesn't, or I should say that calendar doesn't incorporate board meetings, staff meetings, or anything along those lines. However, I think it would be a good idea for us to put something together for Renee for our staff meetings, but also the other meetings that Eric passed over to me when he left. There are monthly check-in meetings with the village, there are quarterly safety meetings with the village, quarterly village leadership meetings. And there may be one or two other ones that I'm missing, but I think that we should be able to pull something together for her fairly easily with that information.
And we've also got his annual calendar of like,
The
the budget's due at this point and start
I was
this.
Yeah, I was depending on what format we go with, I was either expand that to include everything, or maybe do a couple of separate calendars, this one for meetings, this one for, like administrative recurring tasks or something.
Yeah,
but-
something else that I saw in some of these great notes were the capital per capita what is that, per capita grant application.
Yeah.
That looks like a firm deadline. So, and I know that that's a write-up. So we're going to have to figure out who handles that.
Well, and there was some discussion of like, because we were supposed to like approach it as a team effort, because a big part of it is you go through the Illinois, the core standards that are set by ILA, and you I think you check them off. And historically it's just been Eric going through and checking things, and he's like, it would probably be more meaningful if going forward we try to assign okay, so and so you handle the programming standards, you handle the collection development standards. So that was something that I think staff can at least get started. We just haven't had a ton of time so we can at least get it started for her.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then Yeah, because I think the deadline, is it January 15th or is it the 31st?
I thought it was the 31st.
Okay, there are a couple things that have goofy deadlines or
Yeah.
January deadlines.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can, that's something that we can definitely get started and then bring Renee into the process at the tail end, since that'll be when she's starting. And I don't think, and you know, if I'll double check the date, but if it is the 31st, I don't think we're gonna have it ready to submit before she arrives on the 3rd. So there'll be
No.
room
Well, so I
to,
had two thoughts. One was if we've always done a checklist before, which I know Eric was referred to, could we not do that again for this one with the intention of the next one spending more time and addressing a team approach?
I was kind of
That's a-
wondering about that.
Yeah,
If
that's a
that might be
thought.
the.
Or is there an extension for the thing that can be applied for?
I can't remember if. So I know that they very much, if they think that you're going to miss the deadline, they contact you a lot.
Yeah, and that also means we get our
that's
payment
good. That's
pretty late,
helpful.
so I don't think that's ideal.
Yes. So I mean, I think we could ask, but I'm not 100% sure. But it might be, depending on what's involved, you know, it might be, just makes sense to stick with the process as it currently stands and then
Yeah.
figure out how to improve
Yeah,
in
anybody have a
2023.
problem with that thought?
I just found it. It is January 30.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
would
Janie.
suggest, plus Renee might want to have some input after she takes a look at it. So let's just do as we've done, because we've been successful. We've always gotten it done and received
Oh,
a
yeah.
grant. And then, well, with an intention of, you know, on to-do list for the spring to talk about the future one. So that solves that problem.
Thank you. Can I ask something about the calendar?
Mhm.
Kathy, it sounds like you're probably going to be Renee's main contact. It was so nice of you to offer to do weekly check-ins with her.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be helpful if the calendar was shared with you, so you have an idea of what Renee has coming up, so you're connected? Because I know this is probably like a calendar that like the staff use, but then at least if you're going to be having weekly check-ins, then you might know what she has coming up and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's a good idea. We don't want to overload her. We don't want to have something there that she's really not familiar with. And that way, if I'm meeting with her once a week, we could talk about stuff that happened and stuff that's coming up. So that would help me a lot. I don't want to pester her, but it would just be something that I can take a peek at and see what's going
Yeah.
on.
Would that be Martha and Katie?
Yeah, I was gonna say it should be doable. One thing I was gonna ask Martha is in terms of figuring out desk shifts and stuff like that. I'm guessing that's something we would want to reach out to her before she gets here to solidify that, right?
Probably, yeah.
Since we historically Eric always like all the rest of us worked one evening a week, and he had 2 desk shifts. I don't know if we'd give her 1 or 2. No, we might. Yeah, we're currently covering for 2 of Eric's shifts.
Are those daytime, nighttime, weekends? What
Those are all daytime.
Okay.
And
I would suggest you reach out to her in about 2 weeks and let her know that you're putting the schedule together. And this is what Eric typically did. And does she have any, I don't know if he had feedback or if you look for preferences or a weekend preference, but give her the option to weigh in and get her scheduled. She's very enthusiastic about starting. So
yeah.
I think she wants to jump in. And you guys
And that
great.
reminds me, I need to send out the spring Sunday shift calendar to the rest of the staff. So that
Oh,
would,
yeah. It's that time of year.
yeah, well, it just keeps coming, doesn't it?
I'm just curious, how many hours is a desk shift?
2.
And yeah, it's always it's always during the week, sometime between 10 and 6. It's a 2-hour shift at the reference desk. Eric had 2 desk shifts. I know there was some discussion about whether it should be dropped down to 1 at some point, but
There was one point where he had only 1. So it's kind of shifted as
depending on
Staffing has
staffing,
changed.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You know, that reminds me of one thing. I was just wondering, was there ever any discussion when Lindy retired of having someone do the position? I mean, who did that after Lindy retired? Was it pretty much Eric that took care of all of her stuff? And is it now you, Katie, that's doing everything? Lindy did?
Yeah, Anna did take over database management. But most of Lindy's like major responsibilities went to Eric, and so they've for the most part fallen to me, which is most of the technology related responsibilities and the building related responsibilities.
I
Is
think
there
the-
any thought to replacing her in some
Well,
way?
Jillian took that position.
Well,
Sorry?
yes,
Jillian
and
has taken the 4th department head position.
Oh, okay.
but when at the time when Lindy retired, we used that opportunity to increase staff salaries, the base pay for staff salaries, and then the decision was made to
But-
hire a part-time tech services associate. So we hired Rachel Yancey about a year ago, and she works closely with our cataloger, Lara, in processing materials, receiving, cataloging, that type of thing. So
Okay.
it was not a direct one-to-one replacement, but it did give us a little bit of extra coverage at the desk, because Rachel does work she works a desk shift a week. And she also works on, she took Lindy's Saturday shifts.
She's got
Okay.
2 desk shifts, Saturday and Wednesday.
Well, yeah, sorry,
Or
I was
whatever.
including that in Saturday. Yeah, she works Tuesday, she has a 2-hour desk shift on Tuesdays, and she works all day on Saturday, including a desk shift. So it was in terms of desk coverage, it was about a 1-to-1 replacement. In terms of responsibilities and hours worked, it was not a 1-to-1 replacement, but that's how that was handled.
I think the hope too with some of the building stuff was that some of it would be contracted out to like an engineer or something. Eventually, I'm not, I wasn't really read in on the plans for that, but I think the plan was to eventually have some of that shift to someone. I can't remember if I might be getting it confused with whatever Engberg Anderson is doing as far as looking at our building and saying you have
I
3
think
minutes.
I think what you're suggesting would evolve from the study that's happening.
Okay, yeah.
So we have to kind of wait and see what they have to come up with.
Okay.
But the thinking was someone like Sean could do that on a, we don't know what the fee, we haven't explored the cost or the frequency, but it would kind of be their expertise since they know the building and they've been through every nook and cranny, but it needs to, when is that report coming in? I mean,
I don't know when it's coming in. They did reach out to us, I think last week. They needed contact information for Murphy and Miller, who do our HVAC system. So
Okay,
we
good.
provided them with
So-
that.
Yeah, so we'll figure that. Hopefully we'll hear from them soon. Why don't you just make a note in the next 2 weeks to give them a call and see what's
Yeah,
going
sure.
on.
Jenny, I don't know if you're talking. You are muted though.
While we're waiting for Jenny,
Oh,
just.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
there she is. Never mind.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't find my menu on my phone.
Oh,
Sorry, I get so confused with my phone. Yeah, because I'm looking at Renee, the number of trainings that Renee has to also partake in. So I'm just worried about how much, like, because I'm looking at the list. Thank you so much, Martha, for sending that, like, circulation reference. I don't know, most of these are in library trainings, is that right?
yes. Yeah, it was basically the circ and reference training that it's not exactly the same training that I give to all staff. That there's a measure of stuff that I imagine she would be quite familiar with, but making sure that she knows the ins and outs of our day-to-day stuff. So that's something I've that's all taken care of. I can schedule that with her whenever that works with our schedules.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, wonderful. So that was what I had. So thank you for taking care of the calendar stuff. And you said, my number 3 was the manual or binder for her. And you, Martha, you and I feel like everything is coming back to you guys. If there's other things you can like take on to help, please.
Well, you know what? If there's anything we love more than a good list, it's a good binder. So I have a fantastic circulation and reference procedure binder that the page count in the Word document is astronomical, but I love that thing.
I was genuine when I had Miles, because it was earlier than expected, I did not get to finish my maternity leave binder. And that was one thing I was genuinely disappointed because I was going to have like a color coded thing. So we love binders.
Are great.
So yeah, I think I mentioned in a previous email, when we're thinking of a binder, it would basically be her own version of the circulation and reference procedure binder that we already have. There may be a couple things that need to be tweaked, but overall that is up to date. And then there would also be a collection of the procedure documents that Eric created for us before he left. Those I know for sure have some tweaks. Martha's been updating some of those procedures already as different websites get updated and other procedural changes happen. So that I don't anticipate that being super time intensive, mostly just, making additions here and there, then ultimately, just printing it off for her and, just making it organized. But that I don't anticipate that being difficult to take care of.
A lot of this too is really just a version of what we would do for any new employee. So,
Yeah.
This is pretty routine.
Yeah.
I had added to my list that I guess blends into your list, and there's no, I think that Renee should meet with each committee in January if possible. That would be chairman and members, specifically to talk about their goals. So she has an idea of what each committee has in mind for the rest of the year. And that I would suggest to Renee and let her set up as she navigates the rest of these committees. But with that as a goal for the month, I think that's reasonable. And they could be Zoom meetings very quick, or she can have people in if she wants to. But that brings her up to date with who's who and what everybody's up to.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's great. And then Kathy, you would probably discuss that with Renee, right? When you guys.
Yeah, I'll put, but I didn't know if you guys were when you talk about this calendar or list, I just have that tucked into somebody's mind. And I will, when we meet, and I'll talk to her. Does anybody know? She's given notice. What's her last, that little reception for her, I think is the 15th. When does she actually finish at the library? Do we know?
I think it's December 16th.
Okay. Yeah, and then she's got to move and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I've been in contact with her once a week for this or that, so I will pin her down. And,
and her start date is January 3rd, right?
right.
Yes.
So Katie, you would be there that day to be with her.
Oh yeah.
And then and then Kathy, you're just going to be, you're going to be meeting with her once a week.
Yeah, and I'll come over. I'll be there on the 3rd as well, just to welcome her.
Okay.
And find out if she's a coffee drinker. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'll figure out if I can bring her something that's suitable. So, but we'll make her feel warm and welcome.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, that leads into our next, what was the welcome event?
Yeah. Okay.
And I didn't know if we were thinking, I mean, I was thinking just staff, but I don't know, Kathy, what your thoughts are. And I don't know, when we would think is a good day, if it's right away or if it's like a few days later, or I'm not sure.
hold on, Jenny, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my
No.
calendar. So she's starting on a Tuesday. I wonder if we would want to just bring in lunch just for the staff, just a Bluffington's buffet, like Wednesday the 4th, so that
Mhm.
people can kind of mingle around and say hello and have a sandwich and just off the grid kind of conversation. And maybe the trustees could pop in if they're available. And then something more for the public, we can maybe plan a little bit down the road. Any thoughts on that? I just.
I think that sounds nice.
Yeah, it sounded like too, she was interested, she was, she was interested in hosting something. So maybe when when she's getting settled, maybe that's something we could set up with her when she thinks that it's a good time for her.
What was that? What did she have in mind for that?
Well, I think she had just said, like, she had talked about doing like a meet the director. I think when she was when
Okay.
talking to her, she said, oh, I'd be, I think when we talked about getting to know the community, she had said, if I came here, I feel like she had talked about that in one of her interviews.
Right. Well, I was thinking, I mean, we need to do that. I'm just thinking she needs to catch her breath a little bit, but
Yeah.
maybe that week of like the 12th, 13th, something like that. If we did something similar to what she's doing up in Minnesota, which is like from 3 to 5 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Towards the end of the evening, and specifically, I mean, staff, but hopefully she's already had opportunity to mingle and spend time with staff, but in particular, people from the museum, the Friends, the village,
Okay.
reach out to the school district, park district, just that kind of former trustees, people who come in and out, and who I think eventually will want to introduce themselves to her and say hello. So something informal, but definitely planned.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about like the general public. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Well, we could do that as well. Although I think initially, I think we really should make an ad. Well, I don't know. Somebody else weigh in on that. What are your
Well,
thoughts?
I think if you just have one event, we don't want to give her event fatigue right off the
Right.
bat either. So it seems to me that if you have a meet the director event and and publicize it, and then maybe issue special invitations to like the Friends,
Okay.
the village
Yeah.
people and park district people and school
Okay.
people and stuff.
So why
like
don't we
that.
just come up for a date for that, and then we'll figure out
Is,
an appropriate way to,
is this something you're going to want in the newsletter?
is that possible? I don't even know.
When do you need that by?
So for if the event itself is going to be in January or February, that issue hits doorstops like
that's
tomorrow. But for the spring newsletter, which would be March through May, we usually I think the due date will probably be around January 18th. We can probably push it a little bit later than that, but I wouldn't want to go too much later than that. But usually around mid-January is when we would need initial contributions for the newsletter.
Yeah. I don't think, well, I would prefer to do this in January and just have her there and on board and meet people. We could do, the other day I got that great little individual email about just the mini golf. So we could send that out to,
Yes, that's true.
to patrons. I mean, that was very nicely done, and it was just one page. This is what it's all about. And then we could specifically invite village officials and have them drop in if they want. And that way the word gets out. It's in January. If she or we feel something more formal can happen, then we'll have time to think about that. But I think she sounds like she's going to be out there saying hello to people. And I think the sooner she gets her face and a name together, she'll be happier with that. But just my thoughts, just whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we can always supplement with e-newsletter, or like there are other ways that we can get the word out. So that's an option.
We could do
too.
pictures, we could do pictures from the meet and greet and put those in the newsletters.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Do we need to look at any, Martha, for those dates, do we need to look at the calendar to see what else is going on those nights?
If it is, yeah, if you intend to have it at the library, we should check and make sure that we're not having a program that night. And also check and make sure that we've been getting a lot of meeting room booking requests from community groups too. So we would need to check.
And we need to check with Renee too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most important one.
So maybe could you send us in like that second or third week, that I think the 12th is the second week. Could you send some dates that might work so Kathy could coordinate with Renee? Kathy, I think you would be.
Yeah, that's fine.
Could you send dates that might work?
Yeah, let me
And then we
make
can.
yeah, let me send a note to myself.
Bonnie,
Yes.
you've had a lot of experience with all this. Are we on the right track here? Are we missing any things that I didn't have on the list? Because I kind of think we're getting to the end of what Martha and Katie might need to be here for.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of one-on-ones when people first move into a new role. And I think that would be covered pretty much in her monthly calendar to some extent. And when I say one-on-ones, what I mean is that, you know, she might sit down with the library's primary contact at the Park District, and with Bettina, and with probably Dale. You know what I mean? Like, just have a one-on-one sit down with maybe her top 5 non-library contacts in the village that are important for, you know, the library to function smoothly, for there to be communication lines, if you will, established early.
Yes. And I think that is really important. And I wasn't sure who those people are, because I think some of those will have to come from the staff and some of those will have to come from the board. Because I wasn't sure who I think that is really important. And I know that Drew had said that too, you know, just making sure that she has a personal meeting or, you know, connection with them. So I don't know, Kathy, what the best way is to kind of put that list together.
Well, could I have some suggestions right now?
No, Bettina for sure. I'd say probably Drew.
Yeah,
Dr.
Drew, I think I
Leal.
said Dale. I meant Drew. Thank
Drew,
you.
okay. I was thinking, I'm like,
Dale.
oh, I haven't met Dale yet.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Chip and Dale.
Dr. Leali with the school district would be definitely want to meet with her.
Who's the
Would John Beeler be one from the Park District?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
What is his name?
John
John
Beeler,
Beeler, yeah.
I can't hear the last name.
Bealer.
the LFHS superintendent?
Whose name is
can't remember.
escaping
That's
me.
a good idea
Yeah.
too.
Would the Montessori school rank high or no?
I wouldn't bother with that, but I would include the president of the Friends.
Oh,
Lindsay
yeah.
Burnham.
Yeah.
Museum.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
museum.
Museum.
I don't know if she would be in the top 5, but someone who she'll probably want to reach out to at some point is Joanna Rolick with the chamber.
Oh yeah.
And some might be in the first 100 days, others, you know, like days 0 to 30, day 31 to 100.
Right.
Yeah.
On the first 30, I would say the Friends, Bettina, Drew, museum. And I thought of this the other night, the whole museum intergovernment, that whole IGA thing, which I don't know if she's ever heard of an IGA. She's got to become familiar with that and the structure of that. We wouldn't want any decisions or agreements to be made without her understanding the structure of that. So
Would Regis Charlot,
Oh, good idea.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. How do we forget about him?
Thank you. So going back to the hows and how to do this, with that key, those key groups, right, which I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, I would say the whole Friends board, because they're just in and out all the time.
Mhm.
And so the Friends, Bettina Drew, I would include, no, I'm blanking out on his name. Dale, or who am I thinking of?
Drew,
We have renamed,
Drew.
no, the guy
John
that,
Beeler?
no, the fellow that did the drug testing and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Glenn,
Oh.
Glenn.
Oh.
Oh,
Glenn.
Glenn.
So, Kathy O'Hara, I would say, well, my mind just flew out the window, so I'll figure all these blanks, but that's like 7 or 8 people. Would we want to have them to this Thursday evening meet and greet, or would we want to just give her a list to contact, or, I get what you're saying, Bonnie, one-on-one, but, is she going to have to be wanting to say hello to, 10, 15 people the first month? I don't know the best way to structure this.
I think it would be appropriate to invite all those people
Okay.
to
Yeah. You can do both.
a meet and greet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would do
Well, that's
both.
just it. Then she makes the face and hello, how are you? Let's get together sometime, and it goes from there, which I think certainly with people closer to home in the village, that's going to happen naturally. And I think she'll have an occasion for a good reason to reach out beyond that. So she
Yeah,
may
and-
even want to visit the 2 schools, and the way we
Right.
have our set up as well, the 3 schools.
And I would expect at a community meet and greet that many of the guests will come for like a 30-minute period.
Yeah.
And leave. So a little bit of a revolving door.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
So Kathy, you're thinking a Thursday night in January?
I'm just throwing that out there. I guess my old brains remembers the library's open on Thursdays. It's really open on all the evening, so we could do this. But I would ask Martha to check not the first week, but the second and third week of January evenings, or let's say from 4 to 6 kind of thing, what rooms are available. And then if we come up with 1 or 2 nights, throw those at Renee and get it all to come together.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do it kind of right at the end of the business day there,
Yes.
extending a little bit, yeah.
Okay, and I know I promised, I think Katie, right, you have another meeting that you have to get to at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I've got a podcast recording at 8. So, although I'd let my co-host know I might be running a few minutes late. So we're flexible, but we've got the recording around that time.
Okay.
Did you want to, can we add a couple of museum people? I know you said Kathy O on that. How about Adrian Fawcett?
Well, that's a good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's around all the time. And then Kathy
Lindy?
McKechnie is.
Oh,
Lynn-
yeah.
I was going to say, Lynn,
Absolutely.
yeah, good person to know, but also if you have odd building questions.
Yeah. JENSEN.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Kathy, could you go through your list once more just to make sure?
Sure,
I
I'm going to
have-
give you what I consider the top tier group. There's other names, or I'll give you a break it down. The president of the Friends, and then I included Friends board.
Okay.
Bettina, Drew, and Glenn.
Mhm.
Kathy O'Hara, Adrian Fawcett, Kathy McKechnie, Lindy, Regis Charlotte, and Joanna Rolick.
When you also said both school districts.
Well, then I
Sorry,
got
it's-
Dr. Linali and the schools and Park District and high school. I'm thinking perhaps that could be another. I mean, we can ask them all to come, but that's a whole, I'm just thinking with our outreach, with Eliza in the schools, with library cards, that she might have good reason to be making those contacts and saying hello to people, but we can include them. It's if we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 people plus the trustees. That's a lot of people milling around when you don't know anybody. So
True.
um,
We can ask people, we can put out name tags.
right, it's still a lot of trying to put a name with a face kind of a thing. So I'm thinking maybe if we just have really the village principals kind of thing,
Okay.
we could certainly include Dr. Leali, the superintendent. Oh, and then John Bueller. I mean, I have no objection to all this. I just, we don't have a lot of room, and I reflect back on a few receptions where one person's talking to one guest and everybody else is sitting in the background making small talk. So it's really not accomplishing an introduction and hello, how are you kind of a thing. But we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, it'll be important for Renee to have kind of a designated wingman,
Yeah.
maybe to help, move her from one person to another, or, say, hey, let's make sure we get to so and, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would call it a wing person.
Wing person, sure.
I was actually gonna say Jill was kind of filled that role when we did the mayor's breakfast in September, because she knew so many of the people there, and that was my first time attending, so she was kind of bouncing around like, oh, Katie, let me introduce you to so and so.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great idea. If she's willing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Mhm.
I definitely don't want to sign her up for something when she's not here, but
Mhm.
in terms of someone who would be well placed for that, Jill would be a
Yeah.
great suggestion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Hey, a quick question before Kitty, you go.
Yeah.
In regard to the announcement, I know the short announcement was shared with the village. Did they send it out via email or?
That I will bounce to Martha. She was the one who drafted and sent it.
Yeah, so let's see, because the full press release wasn't approved until, was it this Monday or the previous Monday? I
think the
can't
previous
remember.
one.
Well, this Monday was yesterday.
Okay, it wasn't yesterday.
Okay.
And I shared the short announcement with them, and then Glenn was like, well, do you have the full press release? And I did send that to him. I don't think I actually saw the e-newsletter from last week, so I don't know offhand if it was in their e-newsletter.
Did they send one out with the holiday?
I think they would have.
They send
I
one
don't-
out.
I'm-
Well, they send something every week, and I was, I hesitated to bring it up, and I knew they weren't going to come up with put that whole blurb in there. But they do send something every single Thursday or
Mhm.
Friday for what's happening in the weekend and meetings coming up. So I think it'll show up with that in there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't recalled seeing it in my inbox, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's
Right, and I thought maybe I had missed it, so I'm glad I asked about it. It sounds like it hasn't gotten out yet.
I
It's
don't
been
know.
pretty full with stuff on this coming weekend, so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll catch up after that.
Okay. And then in terms of the press release itself,
Mhm.
I'm not sure who you send it to, but when will
I-
that be sent out to?
So it's been sent. I need to follow up with, because I sent it to Patch and I sent it to the Lake Forester, or I tried to send it to Lake Forester. I asked like, who do I send this to? And I got an out of office response from the guy that I contacted. So
Mhm.
I have that on my list to follow up with that. And I don't know if Patch, I was gonna, because I can make like a neighbor post because we have a Lake Bluff Library account. So worst case scenario, if Patch declines to put it up, which I don't know why they would, but if they do that, that's still an option. And I sent it to Rails, the library system that we are part of. That announcement was made there. And it's been announced on social media and that kind of thing. And I think it's going to be in the December e-newsletter as well as the print newsletter, which should arrive shortly.
Great, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, have we ever sent a press release to the Forest Bluff magazine or the Sheridan Road magazine?
You know, I don't know that we have, just because some of our, like a lot, this aside, like a lot of our stuff has been like, mini golf, or, we're doing passports now, which I think maybe doesn't fit what they would normally publish, but this they might. I can see if
They
I'll
could
add
do a
that.
story on Renee and come in and make her up and put her in an outfit and have her standing in a model's pose.
Gown of some sort.
I've been told in the past that, and Jillian might know this better than I, unless the release is specific to a fundraiser that they're covering, they don't, because they're not like a news magazine. It's all, this
It's
happened.
the social page. Let's get real. It's the social
I
page.
know.
And real estate ads. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's what's
Mhm.
selling in the library. While we're chatting here, I just had a little thought of something with the chair that for her desk. Is there a catalog or an online catalog that would have 100 good chairs to pick from? So I'm sure
Well, something that's been on my to-do list since Eric left is ordering the replacement chairs for the library that are broken. But I think most of the desk chairs that we have for the offices and for staff are basically along that model. So I can dig that information out and provide
why
it.
don't we, and I can let her know that we're going to do this in another week or so. Just send it to her. Let her pick out her chair. Some people like lumbar support. Some people like certain height, arms, back.
Yeah.
Why not just let her pick out her chair, and hopefully it'll be here when she gets here. Since we know we're going to buy a chair, we may as well make it comfortable for her.
Mm-hmm.
So just send me whatever I could send her in the next week or so, and
Okay, I'll make a
I'll
note of
invite
that.
her to go chair shopping. Chair shopping. I can say that.
Say that fast 10 times.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think that was everything that I had on the list for our group meeting. So, and then I'm sorry, and just to clarify, Katie and Martha, are you going to be her main contacts at the library for the staff side?
I imagine so.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm happy to do whatever.
Is that how, because I know Kathy will be for the board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know Martha, has been in contact with Renee anyway, just because she has her contact info already. And I know I'm going to be in the first month, especially working to help her transition to the role and whatnot. So, yeah, I imagine that was what my assumption was.
Okay.
I think this sounds good. I think this will be very helpful to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually just told Martha today that she wants to give my work email to Renee ahead of time. So if she wants to reach out to me with any questions or anything, she can do that. And I know, Martha, I think you said Eric had mentioned as well that to pass along his contact info to her.
Yeah, he asked me for her email, which I gave him. So he has her email, I think. But thank you for mentioning that, because that did not make it to my to-do list.
All right, if we finish that, the only other question that I have under any and all other business is, Katie, did you decide on a pizza party? I know we had talked about that. And then-
We have briefly, we've mentioned to staff that as a possibility for the 9th or the 16th. We haven't had a chance to figure out which date would be best for staff. I was just gonna pull together a really quick poll for staff to do online, just so we could get all right, which date works best for you. So that way we could get that as soon as possible.
Okay, because it shouldn't take too long to pull it together. I mean, order pizza.
Yeah,
a day ahead
yeah,
for
I was gonna
delivery.
say, yeah, it should be pretty easy, but yeah, haven't gotten an answer yet, but we have started putting feelers out, so I hope to have something more concrete. Well, by the end of this week would be ideal, so
Right.
I'll pull that together and let me make a note here.
So it
Library is
would,
gonna be a real party hopping spot for December and January, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you know us.
Ain't
So
no
the-
party like a library party.
Yeah.
Actually, our board meeting is the 13th, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking at all these dates now.
so the pizza party it's on a Friday, so it would be from like 6 to 8 after the library's closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be, yeah, the dates that we're looking at would either be the 9th or the 16th.
Nice, how fun. Well, I think that was all for Martha and Katie. I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have anything that they?
Jenny, I wanted to have an opportunity for an executive session.
Oh, yes, yes.
We need that?
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I move that we move to executive session.
So I'm gonna stop the.
I'll second. And Martha, if you want to make me the
Mhm.
host,
Please, because I'm sorry, I don't know how to use my phone.
I find it
I don't
challenging
either.
too. If I
I
have
don't
to use
either.
my phone for a meeting, it's like, frustrating.
I
Right.
do need to vote on moving into executive session.
Okay,
Aye.
all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Katie, do you want to stop the recording?
Yes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and.
All right, the HR committee is back from executive session and it is 8:48 PM.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to move to adjourn the HR committee meeting as a whole?
I will move to adjourn.
I second.
Aye.
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 All righty.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
evening.
everybody.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Yes,
Good night.
thank
Good meeting, everybody. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.